What's going on, everybody? Happy Victory Sunday to you. Hope you're enjoying that win over UAB, but still looking forward to this next Saturday's game against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Before we get into today's content, I need you guys to do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel. My goal is to get to 6,000 subs before we take on Mississippi State. We're only 764 subscribers away from that. If you need a reason to do it for Dylan Sampson, okay? Help me get to 6,000 subscribers. It's free to subscribe, and it locks you in for daily coverage of your favorite team in orange and white. Welcome into Tennessee Football Talk. My name is Joey Petersen. On today's show, we got some great recruiting news that we've got to talk about. And then on the back half, I'm going to give you 5 overreactions from Tennessee against UAB. 5 things I've been seeing all across social media that we got to talk about. And I got to tell you, are we overreacting, or is this a real thing to be worried or excited about? Starting off with that great recruiting news, though, we got to talk about Kesean Bowman, a 5-star wide receiver 2027 class at Brentwood Academy. We actually talked about him on Friday as being incredibly interested in possibly flipping from Oregon. Well, the first step has already taken place because he decommitted from the Oregon Ducks on Friday afternoon. Okay, he was committed to them from July to September, and now his recruitment is back open. Again, reminder, he is a class of 2027. But that's not where the great news stops, because Kesean Bowman was in Knoxville this weekend. That was his second visit in a row for that 5-star wide receiver. So not only is it great that he decommitted from Oregon, but in my opinion, it's coming after visiting the Tennessee-Georgia game, and then right immediately after he decommits, he comes back to Knoxville. So the timeline looks like this. July, commits to Oregon. September 13th, comes visits the Georgia game. September 19th, decommits from Oregon. September 20th, back in Knoxville. In my opinion, this guy seems to be liking the Tennessee Volunteers and seems to be thinking he might have a really good fit in this offense at some point in the future. He's a 5-star prospect, like we've mentioned, if you look at the 24/7 composite rankings. Number 6 wide receiver in the class, 36th best player in the class of 2027. And this guy, I think, would be an unbelievable compliment and an unbelievable player in this Josh Heupel offensive system. He's a little bit of a smaller wide receiver, a little bit more wiry, built a little bit like Devontae Smith, a guy like that, 6'1", 174 pounds. But still, when you get the ball in his hands, he's dynamic with the football. Over 1,000 yards receiving in his sophomore year of high school. Now, I will say, I am a little bit surprised that it happened this soon. I feel like anytime you're talking about a guy from the class of 2027, especially talking about a guy that might be a flip target, you kind of expect it's not going to happen for a little bit. Right? It's probably not going to happen until at least this full football season is done, dusted, and over with, and he can go on his visits as a junior and go on his summer official visits as about to be into his senior year. That's kind of when you maybe expect something to happen, like just happened with Tristan Keys about a month ago. But this happening this quickly, I feel like it means the Tennessee Volunteers are in a very, very good spot. The good thing is, I'm not the only one that shares that sentiment. Chad Simmons, College Football Insider with On 3, said there are several reasons Tennessee looks strong in this race. Bowman has already visited Knoxville more than 10 times, including just last week, his last stop before making the decommitment official. The relationship's on Rocky Top run deep. With Josh Heupel personally involved in his recruitment, the Vols have made Bowman feel like a top priority, and sources indicate that his family also prefers the in-state program. And if you watched Friday's video, the funny thing is, we put out the video about him possibly flipping to Tennessee like literally 3 minutes before the announcement came out that he decommitted from Oregon. Regardless, my biggest point in that was, sure, the Oregon Ducks have had a ton of offensive success. They've had a ton of success over the last decade. It's easy to see why somebody would want to go to Oregon and play for Dan Lanning and play in that offense. But the trip from Nashville to Oregon is 100 times more difficult than the trip from Nashville to Knoxville. And I said this on Friday. I'll say it again. Trust me. My wife, when we were dating, my senior year at Tennessee, I was in Knoxville. She lived in Nashville. I made that drive like 3 times a month. All you got to do, get on 40, head straight west. You're there in 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's the reason he's visited Tennessee 10 times, because it's easy to visit Tennessee. So you have the in-state product matched with the fact that he's a wide receiver that would fit perfectly in this system, that everybody looks at this year and sees how good the wide receivers are doing. It's easy to see why he'd want to come and play in Knoxville. What say you guys? What do you think the percent chance that Bowman ends up in Knoxville is? Scale it for me, 1 to 100. 100, you're saying, I guarantee it. No shot he doesn't. If you're saying 1, you're like, I don't think it's a good chance. You let me know in the comment section down below. While you're down there in that comment section, you'll find this link, chatsports.com/UT sweatshirt. If you click it, it takes you to this link, to this sweatshirt. Big power tee, gray. It looks comfortable. I'm sure it feels comfortable. It looks great. The best part is it's only $27. Guys, it was my birthday just a couple of weeks ago, and my mother-in-law asked me, Joey, what do you want? And I was like, I would love some awesome Tennessee merch, but sometimes it's so hard to find cool things because they're so expensive. Well, this is a wonderful deal for $38 off. Chatsports.com/UT sweatshirt. That's where you got to go. I made it super easy for you. I put that in the comment section and also in the description of today's video. All right, let's start with my week 4 overreactions. Again, I'm going to give you 5 things that I've been hearing, I've been seeing on social media, and we're going to talk about whether Vol Nation is overreacting or not. Number 1, Mike Matthews has a drop problem. I hope this is an overreaction, and if I had to choose overreaction or not, I'd probably lean overreaction right now. But I will say the evidence to support this claim is stacking up and has been stacking up over the last couple of weeks. There were just a couple of balls, especially against a team like UAB, that in my opinion, I'm like, okay, Mike Matthews, you've got to have that. You are a 5-star wide receiver. This is your 2nd year in college, and you're playing a team like UAB. If Joey hits you deep in the end zone, and sure, he caught a great one over the shoulder, tracked it perfectly in the bucket, that was 6. I'm talking about later in the game. If it's a 50-50 ball, I'm going to need you to come down with it against a team like UAB. We all know he had the drop in overtime on that slant route against Georgia. We've seen it from time to time this season. Look, I'm not worried about it yet, but I will say this. If it continues over the next couple of weeks, I might start ringing the alarm bells that Mike Matthews might have a drop problem. Let's just say I'm monitoring the situation. Number 2, Mississippi State is going to put 60 on us. This is something I've heard a lot, and I think it's an overreaction. Okay, Mississippi State put 38 on Northern Illinois. This is an overreaction. Did your defense play great yesterday? No. But were you playing true freshmen, guys who were at prom 5 months ago for the majority of the second half of that game? Yeah, you were. Now, Mississippi State has a really good passing offense. I would argue it's, funny enough, one of the best in the SEC. Blake Shapen, he has his ups and downs, but we all know who Jeff Lebby is as a coordinator. We all know that they've got some pretty good wide receivers as well. But I don't think they're going to absolutely demolish you, right? Sure, it's a little discouraging to have UAB put up that much. And Gage, you can go back to number 2 and just push this across to kind of change things up. But, I'm not too worried about it, okay? I trust this defense. I trust them against Mississippi State. I trust this defensive line, even with the injuries, to put pressure on Blake Shapen with just 4 guys. I think that's going to be a really big key for us this Saturday against the Bulldogs. Number 3, Star Thomas is our best running back. Guys, I'm here to tell you this is not an overreaction. It's not an overreaction one bit. I am as big a Star Thomas fan as you're going to find on this platform. Hell, you might not be able to find a bigger Star Thomas fan on the planet. I think he is our best running back, and I don't even necessarily think it's close for multiple reasons. I just think he's more well-rounded. I think he can make guys miss a little bit better. He might not be your top-end burner like a Peyton Lewis. He might not have that 100-meter speed. But I just think that he's a more well-rounded running back. He's played in college football longer. He runs a little bit more patiently. And don't even get me started about how much better he is as a receiving back. Deshaun Bishop and Peyton Lewis so far have showed me one thing when it comes to them catching passes. They can't. Star Thomas can. I think Star Thomas is the best back this team has. Tim Banks, is he on the hot seat? I think this is maybe an overreaction. Actually, I do think it's an overreaction because I don't think it's that he's on the hot seat. But I do think that something needs to get figured out with this defense. Look, it sucks. There's injuries in the cornerback room, on the defensive line. That hurts. Guess what? There's injuries all across the field on every team for the entirety of this season. That's the game. This is football. You need to adjust. You need to adapt. Something needs to get figured out. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you need to go out against Mississippi State and play zone for 60 minutes. That way nothing really beats you over the top. Maybe play a ton of cover 3. Don't man up as much. I don't know what needs to change, but something does. I don't think he's on the hot seat, but I would like to see something different against the Bulldogs. And number 5, Boo Carter shouldn't be on the field. This is an overreaction. Okay? Boo Carter had a roller coaster of a game. And I said it in my post game yesterday. I just feel like Boo Carter is a roller coaster of a player, whether it's on the field or off the field. There's times you love him. There's times you hate him. That's just kind of the Boo Carter experience. But for every time he misses a tackle, for every time he busts a coverage, he has a play where you go, wow. For every time he muffs a punt, he forces a fumble. That's the experience, man. He's an athlete. He's a freak athlete at that. He's explosive. He's fast. He's aggressive. There's lots of great with him. There's also a lot of not great. But to say he shouldn't be on the field, especially with the problems you're having in your defensive back room right now, I think is an overreaction. Drop a name for me. Who do you think was the best player against UAB? I think it's either Star Thomas or I think you got to put Chris Braslin in that conversation yet again. Make sure you got me followed on social media. You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, at Joey Petersen 8. I tweet about the Vols every single day. TikTok, trying to get that revamped. Joey_Vols. Go ahead and hit me up over there. And if you're not subscribed and you're still watching, it's obvious you love what we're doing here on the channel. So just lock us in for daily coverage.